So, as you may be aware, my championship-winning XJ40 is now sold, which might seem a little bit mental. It probably is a little bit mental. That car's super quick, super reliable, an absolute riot, so much fun, and I'm really gonna miss it. I'm quite sad that it's gone, to be honest. But I'm excited because there's something new now to replace it. Something interesting. Something with a lot of potential, I think. Bit of work to get there, but it's got potential. And it was an opportunity that I couldn't really turn down. And this is where it's hiding. This is the Skunk Works, or will be the Skunk Works. It's not yet finished. There's quite a lot of work to do here as well. But eventually this is going to be a working facility for me to run my race cars out of. And inside this garage is hiding the new car, so I suppose there's nothing for it but to do the reveal. And there it is. So, straight away, let's deal with the elephant in the room. This is my 2002 TVR Cerberus Speed 6, which has been my dream car since I was a lad. Not the Speed 6, I wanted the AJP 4.5 because that's the truly mental one, but having dipped my toe, experienced a few of them, I found that the Speed 6 was, to be honest, plenty quick enough. There's so few opportunities to use the extra speed of the AJP that it sort of isn't worth the extra money, plus they really are a grenade waiting to go off, whereas this Speed 6 has had a straight 6 rebuild, makes good power, and to be honest is just an absolute riot. I really need to do some videos on this car at some point because it's brilliant. It surpassed all my expectations, which, considering that it was on a poster on my bedroom wall when I was a 10-year-old, that's quite a high bar to meet, and this car has absolutely met it. I adore it. But that's not what we're here to see. We're here to see this, which is quite old and crusty and doesn't really look particularly racy at the moment. The garage is very much a work in progress, which is why there's just stuff everywhere at the moment, and it's not exactly what you'd call a workspace yet. In fact, it's not even particularly weatherproof yet, but that's all going to come in the following weeks and months, and hopefully soon enough this will be a proper little workshop that I can run this out of. And I do need a workshop because there's a little bit of work to do. As you can see from the rather fetching shade of grime, this car has not moved for a couple of years and it was stored in a barn. This is a 1989 Jaguar Xjs with a 4-litre AJ16 straight 6 engine. It's a Class B car because it's of a similar level of modification to my Saloon, which was also a Class B car. It's got the same engine as the Saloon, and it produces pretty similar power, in the region of 300 horsepower. So why race a Jaguar again? As you can tell just from what's here, there's some very clear trends with what I'm interested in. I like big engines, big noise, big power, manual gearboxes, rear-wheel drive, and something a little bit mental and a little bit sideways. That's always been what I'm about. There were some big changes regarding the Jaguar series over the off-season. We changed organising club. We are now organised by the Classic Touring Car Racing Club directly, which I think is a big move for the series and signals a lot of positive intent. The signs are all looking really good for next year. I think we'll have grids of 20 plus. Things are looking that good, which they haven't been for a long time, and that was one of the things that really bothered me about racing the Jags. Is you can work your ass off, drive your heart out, win a championship, but when there's 15 odd cars competing, who gives a shit really? No one does. So to make it a bit bigger, a few more cars, a bit more carnage and a bit more chaos, it should be really good. So it's all well and good saying that the series is going to be better next year and I want to race there, but you still need a car. I wasn't going to run the XJ40 again, that chapter had closed. So it had to be something else, and racing around the GT cars, the XK8s and the XJSs, they do have a weight advantage over the big saloons. they're just a little bit more nimble, a little bit more agile, and I think they've got a bit more potential to go a bit further up the class system. It would have taken an awful lot of work to make my XJ40 a car that could punch right at the very front, and I don't think that's what that car is about. I think that car is a great car in its class that runs mid-pack, goes wheel to wheel with everything, scares people out the way, and gives you a great barrel of laughs. I don't necessarily think it's a car that's going to go and win races. We tried, certainly bloody tried, and nearly did on a couple of occasions, but that was normally when the wet stuff came down, because it is a fantastic car in the wet. So yeah, I wanted a GT car, didn't want the saloon again. I wanted an XJS or an XK8, but again, making the money make sense was a bit of a challenge, and I didn't really know if I was going to find one. I thought I was going to go and do something else. At one point I very nearly had a Toyota MR2 bought, and a BMW E36 compact I nearly had bought as well, and then this popped up. So how was I able to make the money make sense to get into this car? Primarily, this car was cheap because at its last event at Silverstone in 2019, there was a minor incident, and this front right corner was pretty well beaten up. Now, what I've got here, this is just a pattern wing to make sure that the frame has been straightened properly and it all fits, which it does, which means that we can get some proper solid bodywork and start building this thing back up. There's a lot of work to do, it's fair to say. We need all the front bodywork replaced, we need a new radiator, a new oil cooler, both of which were lost in the crash, and we've got standard brakes. These are the same as the XJ40 came on, in that they are XK8 discs mounted outside of the hub with spacer brackets so that the standard calipers can be used. So what we've got here is what's going to go on. These are the Fosway Performance 6-piston calipers from my XJ40, and I spoke to Simon at Fosway Performance. They're currently in the process of machining some brackets so that those can go on this, and then it will stop much better. The other cool features of this car, other than it being very yellow, almost offensively yellow you could say, we've got a side exit exhaust. Now, that big box back there contains the silencer for the exhaust, which goes up into the cabin and out of the side of the car. The reason for that is that we've got inboard rear discs, which apparently yields a performance advantage on these old XJS's. I'm not that familiar, I don't really know, but apparently keeping the weight inboard is better than having the discs outboard. We've got all of our usual quirks and features in here. It's pretty race car. There's a short shift gearbox, which needs some fettling because there's a lot of play in gear at the moment, so I might be dropping the box at some point to see the linkage. So we've got our inboard rear discs, as we can see behind the wheel here. Nothing at all. They're over there somewhere, hidden away. Lovely and easy to maintain. He lied. We've got air intakes built into the quarter lights here to cool those rear discs. They are ducted down to the brakes at the rear to get some air over them, because the challenge is keeping them cool, which is also the reason why this car has got its fantastic side exit exhaust. So that exhaust doesn't get anywhere near the discs, and these air intakes keep pumping cold air down there as you go. And the other cool feature is, because we've got no exhaust at the rear of the car, it's been boxed in to a nice little Venturi tunnel type arrangement. It's a really cool feature. So although the mechanicals are fairly standard on this car, the engine has not been tweaked that far, and it's also got what I would consider to be the wrong diff. It's got a 3.54, which I think is longer than it should be. Unless you're making an awful lot of power, I think you're far better off with a much shorter diff than that. So mechanically there is a ways to go, but the thing that gives this car a lot of potential are the features that I've pointed out, which make it very raceable, and also the fact that this car is very light. I know that its previous owner, Gail Hill, used to run with a near full tank of fuel just to bring it up to class weight. This is a very light car as it sits, which bodes well for moving forwards up the classes. This one's a bit different in that it actually runs standard injection, which I couldn't believe when I heard that. It's standard injection with a 1-2-3 ignition system on it, which apparently gives you great gains. I'm a little bit cynical about that, but It's been verified, it's been on a dyno, and it has made in the region of 300 horsepower. You can't say fairer than that. And to be honest, this is the cheapest way to get into a 300 horsepower race car. There's no other series about where you can jump into something like this for the money that I jumped into it for. First year of racing, we're going to stay in Class B. I don't want to spend a load of money in this car until we know exactly how the series looks. So we're going to run with in the region of 300 horsepower. A little bit more wouldn't hurt. A lot of cars in that region have got more power. But we beat them all last year in the saloon, which was less powerful and heavier, so we could definitely beat them in this. Don't know if it's going to challenge for overall race wins. I'm going to have to drive my fucking socks off if I want to achieve that with this. But the crucial thing is, next year, once we see how the series looks, if it really achieves its potential, which there's stacks of potential at the moment, I'm so excited for next year. If the series does end up being as big and as brilliant as I think it could be, then this could be the car to invest a bit of money in and to take right to the front. Try and post updates as regularly as I can. In case you can't tell from the rubbish camera work and the awkward demeanour in front of camera, I'm completely new to this whole vlogging thing and I feel like a bit of a numpty. But dragging a car out of a barn that hasn't turned a wheel in 2 years and taking it out racing, I think is a pretty cool subject worthy of a bit of coverage. So I'll do my best to bring that to you. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'll see you next year. We're keeping it stupid, we're keeping it sideways, as always.